Hello folks, Y Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very, oops, I just kicked the camera. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful summer day. The name of this video is called The Y Guy Advice to Victimized Christians. It's kind of an interesting title, is it not? Advice to Victimized Christians? You know, Christian, do you feel attacked? You know, I would imagine someone viewing some of my videos might feel that way. No matter how many times that I claim, and I make the assertion that I'm against doctrines of men that steal, kill, and destroy a trust someone might have in God. To me, it seems like the average Christian would jump on board with that. But no, you take some of your doctrines that do slander God's love and come against his very character, and when I point those things out, it's offensive, and sometimes you feel attacked. Well, this video isn't about me defending myself. It's more I'm looking at how, in my previous paradigm, how I felt attacked as a Christian. You know, in the past when I ran in those circles of influence, okay? And so, again, Christian, do you feel that the world is against you? You know, I remember those times, especially during Christmas and Easter. You know, I couldn't tell you how many stories you've heard, you know, in church of how, you know, people would so easily offended. Everything from, they didn't say Merry Christmas to me, they said Happy Holidays instead. And it's amazing how fickle some people can be, you know. And so it's as if the whole world is against you. I remember, that's how I felt too. Okay, so I just remember. And anyway, do you feel like you've obtained the truth that the world rejects? When I look back now, and this saddens me somewhat, when I look back, it's not that they reject the truth, they reject you. And how and why do they reject you? They don't reject God's love. The average person out there, even an atheist who doesn't believe in God, knows what love is. So they're not rejecting love, which is the truth. They're rejecting the stuff, the baggage that Christendom adds to the truth. I can't tell you how many people, and I look back and I say, it saddens me how many people I've pushed away because of doctrines of men and some of the goofy things that we practice. Sorry about that. Keep bumping the camera tripod here. Anyway, so the potential of some tight, good friendship that I could have had with some of these people, and I look back and some of the things that I said and I did in the name of God, I'm so embarrassed. So again, do you think you're the victim? Do you, Christian? If so, listen up, okay? Try to be objective if you can, because the real victims are the people who are judged by the ego-driven, self-righteous Christian. Not all Christians, okay? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the real victims are the ones that are judged by the ego-driven, self-righteous Christian who practices spiritual terrorism. Yet Christendom claims both they and God loves you. Okay, I got to do that. All right? So how did I come to my conclusions to do this video? Ego-driven first. Let's check that one out. You know, this best describes the free will doctrine. It does. Think about it. If it wasn't for the ego, you wouldn't care. People could care less that God will eventually get his way in all things, regardless of the choices you make or I. Then Christians, they want to boast. I remember real well. They don't call it boasting, but Christians want to boast and take the credit for their correct choice to serve or to follow God. They boast about it. You know, if that isn't the ego, I don't know what else is. Let's look at self-righteousness for a moment. You know, this self-righteousness best describes how it's the very act of the ego. The very act of the ego-driven free will of a Christian that accomplishes what is needed for salvation, rather than the completed work of Christ. Essentially, Christians do it their way. I could do this again. Their way, thinking it's God's way. Hope you're catching this. And last, in closing this video, this short video, spiritual terrorism? Some might be wondering, what? Since when do Christians practice spiritual terrorism? This best describes the threat of a horrific eternal outcome for those who don't adhere to the ego-driven free will doctrine of people who claim God is love. See, I'm being sarcastic because I'm adding the kind of an oxymoron, God is love and a horrific eternal outcome. I hope you see the dichotomy there. Christendom continually attacks people without even possibly without an intent, but it's always under the surface, because it's always in the back of the mind of a believer when they're sharing the gospel. If I don't share the gospel, they're going to have a horrific eternal outcome. Or I've been in the circles where you sat around in somebody's living room and a self-righteous person, a group of self-righteous people, are going to almost be giddy about, well, they chose to reject, they're rejecting Christ, so they're just going to get what they deserve. And that kind of disgusting attitude, you know. But anyway, Christian continually attacks people, like I said, and threatens them with hell for not believing as they do. And Christians think they're the victim? Well, if you disagree with this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to this channel. Look me up on Facebook. And that's all I've got to say about that. Thanks for viewing.